Hello, howdy. What's going on? What's up, nerds? This is episode 11 of the Super MetaBros podcast Royale. You're joined by Mr. Scaly and Mr. Sheepy. We're here
What's
to talk
up?
about we're here to talk about video games and nerdy shit and just nerdy shit. What you been up to, man? What you been playing? Most Spidey, man?
Yeah, Spider-Man's been the biggest part of it. Little Spider-Man. WWE usually always takes a spot, but actually slowing down on that, I'm only gonna have one more episode of WWE before 2K19 comes out in 10 days.
And how's
Yeah.
that shaping up? Have you been following up on?
2K19 looks
Yeah.
amazing. The My Career mode is going to be the first one ever with voice acting. So
Hmm.
I think 40 something superstars voice acted in it. It's
Oh
got
damn.
dynamic, it's very dynamic. You'll step into all different kinds of roles and stuff that you previously wouldn't be able to. It looks like you can just do all this amazing stuff that hasn't been available in a career mode in the WWE. You start off in the indies and you kind of invade the WWE with your indie group or whatever, and it's your character has a voice for the first time ever. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome. Uh, I'm not real sure how the rest of it is. It's being pretty quiet on a lot of the details. We don't know too much, just besides what the trailer showed. But the trailer showed all kinds of stuff that I never would have expected, and I'm excited to play. And aside from that, there's all these. There's a towers mode with all these different challenges. There's the contest to win $1 million against and play against AJ Styles, the champion right now. There's a showcase mode where you relive the career of Daniel Bryan and all his highlights and pretty much play those matches. Uh, and there's the My Universe mode, and then there's still the regular Road to Glory mode that they introduced last year, which is online versus versus somebody else to win stuff and win the virtual currency. It was pretty interesting last year, but I got frustrated with it because my points kept getting erased. So I quit that and started doing the universe mode, and I kind of stuck with that. I'm going to try to balance all three of those things on this iteration of 2K19. But it's going to be interesting. I took off the first 2 days that it's coming out so I can get it all set up. I'm going to do an unboxing of the Woo edition that has the
Hmm.
piece of Ric Flair's robe, all
Oh
black
yeah.
and stuff like that. So I'm going to check that out. It's going to be pretty interesting. I'm excited for that.
Well, I was going to ask you if you had any concerns because I don't play a lot of sports games, but from what I read, um, a new release is either a hit or miss because they will work on certain features, but then cut some features that made the previous games so popular and made people pretty much
That had
love
been
it.
a running theme in the WWE games. They were so hit or miss. It was like we're gonna do this awesome new mode that everybody likes, and then take it out the next year.
Yeah,
Or even worse, they take out something that's been good consistently over multiple years, and they take it out and replace it with something worse. It's There's always been some bugs and initial issues with every iteration. This is
yeah.
the first one I've actually been really excited about just because of the career mode. That seems very interesting and fun. I don't know how long I'll be interested in it, but it does seem great.
And the career mode is basically like the story mode, where, like you said, they're having the
Well,
voice actors
yeah, I
come
don't know if
along,
you've
and
seen any of the my career mode from NBA 2K19. It's pretty in depth. I'm not really into sports games myself, but I've got a friend who plays it, so I've been in his streams quite a bit. And the
yeah,
story mode seems pretty involved, and you know you it's a lot more in depth and more realistic, I think, than any other. I think the WWE one suspends disbelief a little bit more. Might take itself a little less serious and do more outside the box things that are just crazy.
yeah.
But at the same time, I think it took a big page out of 2K NBA 2K19's playbook.
Hmm. Um, I've been playing a few games actually. I played a little bit of Minecraft this weekend. We have a humongous castle built on this map, which actually got kind of fucked up. Somehow the procedural generation of the map, um, it just sort of changed, like along this axis. So we have this front of the castle where there's this huge courtyard, or we had a huge courtyard, but it just got cut off and changed into woods. It's actually kind of cool though. It didn't really mess up a whole lot of stuff. It just gives us a little bit more room to build. So that was interesting. And I played a little bit of Battlefield 1, a little bit of PUBG Mobile, which is fucking legit. If y'all aren't into mobile games, y'all should check out PUBG Mobile. That's a fucking legit battle royale game on your phone. Has a few problems, but it's still super fun.
Yeah, I've looked
We
at it.
play.
It seems interesting.
We got Undertale on the Switch finally. I downloaded that the day that it came out. Man, I fucking love that game. I played it on PC for several hours. I think I put like at least 10 or 12 hours in it. I haven't went back to it because I got stuck on this fucking boss. But
For those of us
hopefully,
that don't know what is Undertale?
Undertale is an RPG, basically made in the vein of Earthbound, the game that I've been playing on my Nintendo Classic, Super Nintendo Classic. I forget who made it. I don't know. I don't even want to bother looking it up, but it's a very silly game, just like Earthbound, pretty much. For instance, there's this sign. There's just these random signs sitting around the map, and I walked up to it and I read it, and it says "Warning: Dog Wedding." Like what? So I reread it, and it said, "Yeah, you read that right." And that was it. And it's just these little silly things like thrown around, and I don't know. I sort of like games that don't take themselves too seriously. It just sort of like it gives it a little more personality.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see what else. What else have I been playing? I downloaded a shit ton of games on my Switch. Oh yeah, I downloaded. Actually, subscribed to Nintendo Online just to see how it was. I think I got like 1 month of it for like $3 or $4. It comes with a NES library. I think it comes with like 20 games. Nothing special. It comes with Super Mario 3, which is what I've been wanting on my Nintendo Classic and on the Switch. It should have been available on the Switch from fucking day one. Nintendo.
You didn't already put it on your Nintendo Classic?
I haven't even touched my Nintendo Classic ever since I downloaded Mother 3 and was
Yeah.
playing that. I haven't even played it since
See, you're slacking. You're
yeah,
slacking.
since I am fucking slack. I know. I'm like fucking 10, 15 hours into that game. I just haven't got back to it. It's super fun though. I have every intention on going back, but um, I don't know, man. I really don't see why Nintendo went this route with their online. They don't have native voice chat. You have to download a smartphone app in order to talk to your friends, which in a way I sort of like because you can have it on speakerphone sitting on your coffee table in the room while you're playing, and everyone who's not playing can just be chatting with, since you're probably going to be playing with a friend, everyone could just be in on the conversation and hang out and stuff like that. Plus, I've always wanted a way to, because I haven't always had this headset. And I've always wanted a way to hook up my smartphone to like PlayStation Network and use that as a voice chat tool or utility or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could see the upsides, but it's so weird that it doesn't have its own native voice chat. Fortnite does. Fortnite has its own native voice chat on Switch. So I mean, I guess most people aren't really going to complain. But another thing, all those Nintendo games in the library, you can fucking play online.
Okay, that's cool.
It's I've never thought about that. I've never thought
Can you
about
download them as well?
uh you download the library. Like once you download the library, all 20 games are on there already.
So you can play offline as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, that's
But
that's a that's a big selling point. Playing offline is a
oh
big
yeah,
deal.
I I don't think I've ever played my Switch online, to be honest.
which I don't know if you knew, but now the PlayStation Now library is downloadable. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, that's pretty amazing. You can download, if you're a PlayStation Now member, you can download Red Dead Redemption if you don't have it. You can download Fallout 3 if you don't have it. You can download all these huge major titles. And instead of having to stream them, you can be offline. I think you can be offline and play these games
Yeah, the caveat is that you need to connect your system every few days in order to
to
verify the license plate.
verify the licenses. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And it's got to be your primary PlayStation as well.
and see, my biggest problem right now is they haven't added PlayStation 3 games as the ones that you can download, which is a shame because I want to go back and play Nino Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. It's a level 5 RPG. One of the best RPGs on PS3. It's such a fucking great game. Um, among a few others, but that's my only problem with it. I want to go back and play that PlayStation 3 library because there are a few games on there that I would like to go play, and streaming them is just not an option for me. I just can't do it.
Really?
Yeah, well, because you're relying on input,
Yeah,
and oh,
lag. Yeah, the lag can be deadly, and especially that's one thing I don't understand is not everybody has access to high end internet.
hmm
It's not it's not fully integrated, everywhere yet. There's still a lot of places with insufficient internet.
oh yeah,
I, th- I think they're gonna make the push because there's so many large cities. I mean, there probably is a majority that have access to reliable internet. We're probably in a minority here,
oh yeah, I'm sure.
but but you know, it'll come. It will just be it's just Arkansas. It'll be 10 years later. We're kind of 10 years behind the curve on everything, music, and until the internet came out, we were always 10 years behind on everything. So I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
now it's probably a little bit better, but still like catching up on getting the technology here. We've got one option here, and if you don't like that or you screw that up, you're stuck with DSL or crazy data limits like 100 gigabytes a month and stuff. It's
oh god,
ridiculous.
yeah. It's unfortunate, but I feel like this is a step in the right direction for Sony because I think they're starting to realize that people don't want to stream these games. They want to be able to download them and play them via a Netflix-like subscription. And PlayStation Now, I think, is only like $20 a month, something like that.
I, I, is it? I think it was on discount. It was like $10 a month. Today was the last day to get that. It's like $10 a month until the end of today, I think.
Well, I think, in my opinion, it's still worth the 20. I mean, considering everything that you're getting, the PlayStation 2 classics and whatnot. But if they add the PlayStation 3 library to be downloadable, which I don't think, I'm not sure it's ever going to happen, just based off a technology standpoint. The PlayStation 3 architecture is much different than what we have now. Xbox 360, on the other hand, was very similar, sort of similar to what we have now. It was more in line with like PCs and stuff, which is what the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is. They run off x86 architecture, so all that stuff's easy to port. Which I don't understand why they don't just take the 360 ports. I'm not sure about the legality of this. Take the 360 ports, label them as the PS3 version, and then put them on the Sony store or the PlayStation Now. But I'm not a legal expert, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm hoping to see some PlayStation 3 games, but who knows? Who knows? Sony is terrible at listening. It's one of the things that they're worst off at. Uh, Today, though, I was watching a podcast that I usually watch on my way to work called Sacred Symbols. It's a PlayStation podcast. You could find it on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, shit like that. Fumito Ueda is making a new game. He's the guy behind Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and the recently released Last Guardian.
I did like
So,
Shadow of the Colossus. It was very almost breathtaking. It was pretty a grand spectacle. Just
did you
the
play the new
giant.
one?
I haven't. It was I liked it, but I had more. I had other games I was more into at the time, so it didn't get as much playtime as it deserved. I never even finished it,
Oh
but
yeah,
I did really enjoy the art style and just the sheer size of the colossuses and the interesting ways you had to come up with to defeat them. That was pretty fun.
yeah. For a PlayStation 2 game, it did. It was fucking awesome. I remember playing it. I think it was 2007 or 8 on PS2. I agree. It's a it's a spectacle what they did with that game, and I mean the PS4 version looks phenomenally good. I have an itch to go play it, but like you said, there's just a lot more. There's a lot of shit out right now.
Have you seen the recently released PlayStation 1 classic?
Yes, Final Fantasy 7 and Wild Arms. Those are the two that stick out to me. I never got to
Yeah,
play Wild Arms, but it came out about the same time that Final Fantasy 7 came out, and supposedly it's this hidden gem of a game that if Final Fantasy would have overshadowed it, it would have been a commercial hit. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it right off the bat, but it looks it looks interesting.
I wonder what the oh well, there's one thing that didn't appeal to me about it. There's no joysticks on the controller.
That's the original DualShock.
Is that true? Yeah, okay, so the original PlayStation didn't have it, did it?
Nope. And
At
I didn't
any
know that for
point?
the longest. Well, yeah, it did. Eventually, they put out a second version of the controller with analog sticks, but
But there
and
were
I
no games that required the analog stick.
no, not that I can think of actually. I'm not sure. That's a good
Okay,
question.
that's good. That's good.
No, I doubt that they wouldn't release it like that
That
if it
was
was a
my
requirement for
concern.
games. Yeah.
But
Um.
don't forget, you can still use one of those because you can use the Wii controller on the or not Wii, the GameCube or no, it is a Wii
Wii
controller
U. Wii U.
on the yeah on the Nintendo Classic.
Yeah.
So be
Um.
nice if they had a similar.
Yeah. I wonder what sort of. I wonder what sort of like a little. Can't think of the term for it. The little connector it's gonna have. If it's gonna be USB or something like what Nintendo did with their controllers.
It's probably going to be USB, I would
It,
think.
it would be nice because then you could just use your PS4 controller and that'd be that.
Dun, 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 dun. But that may be a reason that they don't because they don't want people trying. They might mess something up or something. You never know.
Yeah, it's true, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. I do think it looks interesting, though. I'm curious to see what the next 15 games are because they've only announced like 4 or 5.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of good games on the first PlayStation. There was,
Tekken
wasn't there?
3. Oh yeah, fucking Tekken,
Yeah, but
fucking
I'm
Final
worried that a
Fantasy.
lot of those fighters from PlayStation One are going to be unplayable because they were so polygonal. They were pretty bad compared to today's. It'd be pretty hard to sit there and watch.
I have the same problem, dude. I go back and play shit like
There's
even the
games that stand up, even Final Fantasy, it has some really ugly overmap stuff, but once you got into the fights and stuff, it was fairly decent.
yeah.
But the main stuff, the world looked great, but your characters were garbage. They were blocks on blocks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was bad, but I mean, it's you can still play Final Fantasy even with that problem because of the aesthetics of the surrounding environments and stuff like that.
Did you
Some
ever
of those
play?
games are just gonna be hard to play.
Oh yeah, like especially the. I have that same problem with like N64 games. Like I don't know if I'll be able to go back to GoldenEye or shit like that because they're just the control scheme and like everything's so dated about those games. Certain
Well,
types of games, like you
the
said.
main thing about GoldenEye and stuff like that is on today's TVs, they just don't they're it's horrible. You're almost better off finding an old tube TV and finding somebody to hook it up with on the little screw-in thing on the back. Just try to play it that way because today's TV is the widescreen format, I think. for one, uh, you can't get a good. You can reset the format and take the widescreen and just have the black blocks on each side. But today's TVs, the detail in them makes everything stand out so bad.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword. Did you ever play the Final Fantasy VII remaster on PS4?
What do you mean? They remastered it,
Well, yeah,
or
it's
they just overhauled the graphics a little bit?
oh yeah, they
What?
upresed it basically. They upresed it,
It,
so like you can clearly see what your characters are supposed to look like. You can clearly see their eyes and their faces and the body proportions. Whereas on the PS1, you like you said, they're ugly as shit because all the jaggies and like they just didn't render. I wouldn't say properly, but they just didn't render in a pleasing way. I don't know. Like everything just looks sort of like a jumbled mess when you're walking around as this little 3D sprite. You really don't know what the fuck you are.
yeah.
Um,
So that's
if you,
I haven't played it.
I was
Is
gonna
it
say,
good?
I mean, it's Final Fantasy VII. They did add a rewind, not rewind, but a fast forward deal, so you can like skip just like little bullshit prolonged fights and shit. Like if you're trying to get somewhere, you can just fast forward it, go fight this dude real quick, and just fucking go.
Okay.
Like you don't have to wait on animations basically. Um, I mean, it's Final Fantasy VII. There's really nothing that different except for the fast forward feature. But like I said, you can clearly see your characters, which is something that I wasn't really expecting when I went into it. Like I said, you could see Cloud's face, you could see Tifa's face, you could see everyone's face,
Okay. I guess
but
that's
you couldn't
interesting.
really. Yeah, I mean, couldn't really see that kind of detail on the PS1. As crazy as it sounds, I mean, that's just the way technology was. Speaking of Final Fantasy, though, did you read about Nobuo Iematsu?
What about him?
The man has fallen ill and has to stop working.
Oh no.
Yep, so bad news for the Final Fantasy VII remake, which I guess isn't like all bad because I mean the music already exists, but
Yeah.
it's still a
Yeah.
shame.
It can
He is.
always be remastered and stuff, and it's easier to redo something than it is to create something completely new. So
I feel like his work is the reason I got into Final Fantasy so much. It set the tone so well for those games. It's a
yeah,
shame.
it was great music. There was always great music in Final Fantasy, and that's always been a running theme. I think with me, especially, that if the music wasn't just drawing me in, then I wasn't really sticking with it. I really loved also like the soundtrack on Zelda: Link to the Past. I mean, just stellar
Oh yeah.
music all throughout. And there's not very many games that just resonate with soundtracks as much as those two games in particular, Final Fantasy and Legend of Zelda. Just you can hear. I find myself whistling the themes of both of those all the time. And games that really stick with me have always had really memorable soundtracks in my mind. You know, one of my favorite underrated classics was pretty much all soundtrack, and that was Brutal Legend. I love that game. That game was pretty amazing. For all its little problems, it was so fun to just play.
Was that the Jack Black
The
one?
Jack Black game, yeah,
Yeah.
with
I'd
the
never played that.
guitar. It was a hidden gem. It was really fun.
That was like a God of War like hack and slash type of deal.
To a degree, but there was also like a defense thing where you kind of held the center, and now every waves progressed at you, and you had to maneuver your band. Like you'd send out roadies, and there it was like a castle defense thing almost.
Oh, okay.
Before that was even a big deal.
Before that took off.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and there were all different aspects to it. It was, you know, part a driving game. You know, there was a lot of driving and races involved, and there was the hack and slash type aspect of it, and then there were unique little combos you learned with the guitar, and it was pretty great. I loved Brutal Legend, but I've always been a big fan of Jack Black and Tenacious D. And just anything
Oh
that
yeah.
Jack Black does is usually pretty awesome, except for some obscure movies or some of the kids movies and stuff like that. But most of the adult oriented Jack Black stuff, I love. I've always appreciated his brand of humor.
Did you see that they? I think this was legit, confirmed as legit. They announced a sequel to the Pick of Destiny.
Yeah, Pick of Destiny was okay. It's not my favorite thing that they ever did.
No, I mean, yeah, it
Uh,
was fine. It had its moments, but
it did. I laughed. I didn't think it deserved as much of a shunning as it got, but I can see why it bombed.
oh yeah, I mean, it's
You
funny
get a
though because
good.
since then, like Jack Black has just become like this fucking, I guess, a household name. I guess.
Yeah, he's in two, three, four movies a year. Maybe not blockbusters, but they're in theaters right there with the blockbusters. He'll be in the kids movie and then the comedy movie as like a supporting actor, and he doesn't
Yeah,
really headline a lot of movies anymore. I don't think, but he's always there.
yeah, not since School of Rock, right? I mean, that was the last movie I remember him headlining.
Well, Goosebumps.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even. I mean,
It's
that was fine.
kids movies
Yeah.
and stuff. There's that house with the clock in the walls that's coming up.
Oh yeah, that actually
The
looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Jack Black still, he's always around. I always appreciate Jack Black.
He recently got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's what's up. That's awesome.
Yeah, totally deserved. I feel.
Yeah. Bill Cosby
Um,
got 10 years.
I thought he got less than three.
I think it was like 5 to 10 or 3 to 10 or something like that. So he'll have to do multiple years. You got to wonder if he'll even survive. Wouldn't it be sad if Bill Cosby died in prison?
I don't know, man. Fuck that guy. He did some horrendous shit. As much as
Yeah, he did.
I love his show. I mean, it just
I loved his stand up. He was hilarious. His stand up was amazing. I don't know if you've ever watched any of his stand ups, but they would have you rolling.
no, I never have.
God, his stand ups were the best thing about him. He was is the funniest family friendly comic I've ever heard in my life. Just amazing delivery and just the stories, and then he combined it all with the faces and the movements and
Yeah,
the Bill Cosby-ness, and it was
his
pretty
little
good shit.
quirks.
Oh,
You can dislike the man and still appreciate his work. I feel. Um,
I don't know. You admire Hitler art pieces and stuff. You appreciate the artwork. No, I can understand. Yeah, I still like I do. I would still watch the stand up. Some I can detach myself from the deeds of the man. Like there were a lot of Edgar Allan Poe was a pretty twisted man according to most accounts, and did some pretty married like his 12-year old or 13-year old cousin or something like
yeah,
that relative. So yeah, I
something like
mean
that.
some pretty crazy things throughout history, some pretty shady stuff done by pretty famous people that we just kind of, oh well, they did this, they did all this amazing stuff, so they're excused from these horrible things. So we forget about all that, you know. We're not going to go writing those people out of the textbooks. So I mean, the Bill Cosby show, the show itself, I liked. It was pretty good. I
Oh yeah,
watched it. I watched
I
it
love
more
that
than
show
once.
growing up.
Yeah, as a kid, it was definitely something I was into, and the comedy stuff. So I think it would be sad if he died in prison. I think he's 80, like 2, 83. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I could understand empathizing with him. I mean, as
He did
much,
some he did some pretty bad shit though.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Anyway, on to Red Dead Redemption 2. Did you see that there's going to be
Testicles.
testicles?
Yeah, they're going to be shrinking testicles according to the temperature. The
Well, I
horse testicles. Let's clarify. These are horse testicles. We don't know how the dynamics with the human testicles, NPC testicles. We don't know how those work or if they're even integrated into the game. It'd be funny if they went so far as to like if you were able to pants the characters. they had all their stuff and were anatomically correct, and their testicles shrunk with the weather as well. But I don't think that works.
I'd say it's all or nothing. If they're gonna put horse balls in there, give
Go
everything
go
fucking
go
balls.
full on, just everything, you know.
Yeah.
Nipple technology. Nipples get hard with the coldness. You know, we gotta go full on.
Well,
We want
I
realism above all.
I was gonna say that Red Dead Redemption 2 was confirmed to have over 200 species of animals, but I mean, shrinking balls, yeah. I mean, that's something to look forward
Well, I mean, it's
to.
there. 200 species of animals.
Yeah, over 200, and according to
Now,
the
are
bit,
we talking about? Hold on. Okay, I'll let you go ahead. It might answer my question before I ask.
yeah, I think they announced there's gonna be like 16 species of horses. So yeah, you're gonna see like a whole bunch of like several just variations of the same thing, I'm sure. But they're all supposed to react with the environment as well as with each other in a realistic manner. For instance, the possums will play dead if a hunter is nearby, including the player. Like he'll just drop dead and play dead. Um, I
That's
think they're
not
all.
really how possums work, though. They don't just drop and stop and play dead. They only play dead when they're attacked.
Yeah, well, I'm saying if they're being hunted, like they will, like if they're scared, I guess. I don't know.
No, possums run when they're scared. When something touches them or like attacks them, that's when they play dead. Because I've run out on my porch plenty of time and possum takes off trying to get in my trash or something. It takes flying. It doesn't just play dead. I'm not trying to
Oh,
argue with their you know understanding of possums, but I've encountered more than one, and you have to actually touch them or do something to them to make them play dead. They'll even come at you, and they'll hiss at you before they run away.
yeah, I actually saw a possum on my porch the other day. That motherfucker was big, and like, yeah, like you said, it just ran off as soon as it saw me. So,
Yeah, what is it
um,
about possums and porches? I don't know. I've seen more possums on porches than in anywhere else.
I don't know, man. They just need to get a fucking life.
Yeah,
Uh,
assholes.
um, okay, Mister Possum Expert. Anyway, yeah, 200 species of animals. So I also heard that I read that they're going to be the map is going to be spread across like 5 fictional states or something like that. I think it said 5. There are going to be multiple states though, so they haven't shown much about the map. So I have a feeling that it's going to be absolutely fucking massive.
5 states.
Yeah,
That
you
would
gotta
be
think.
enormous. It's going to have to involve like a lot of fast travel and stuff then, because if unless their states are a lot smaller in comparison to our states, they've got
I'm sure
like
they will be.
these are like Connecticut sized states, Rhode Island sized states, Delaware's. You know, these
Probably,
are
probably
you know
Hempstead County like states or something bullshit
yeah,
like
because
that.
you it would take on horseback, literally days to cross one state in here.
Yeah,
So I don't see how you could have multiple states involved but they're fictional, so they can be small little. But still, even a small state take like 8 hours to cross some small states
I
uh,
have a, you
on
gotta think
horseback.
though. You gotta think though. This is the first game that Rockstar has made specifically for these next gen machines. Like they're not going to be held back by the PS3 or 360 with this game, like they were when they. Because Grand Theft Auto 5 was, of course, a last gen game. It didn't even come out on PC till like a year later, a year after the first consoles. So I keep that in mind whenever I think about this game. It hasn't really been on my radar. I know it's going to be really good. Um, I don't think it's going to sell as well as GTA 5, but I feel like it's going to be exceptionally good.
I don't think a lot of these games are going to sell as well. I think because it's going to be such a divided market in the
Dude,
next couple of
GTA
months.
GTA 5 is still like a top seller
Of
every
course,
single month.
of course it is. I bought it
It's
last month.
insane. Oh, I still haven't bought it. I've been meaning to though. Like I want to get back in it just because I want to
I bought it
fuck around with
last
the
month.
map.
I played it for a couple days, and then the money started getting really hard to get. I mean, I could always go play the story or something like that, but I got other things taking up my time. I got Spider-Man to worry about.
Yeah,
I got to get through that. That's giving me that's taking up most of my gaming time right now.
but you're enjoying it though, right?
definitely. The Some of it's starting to get a little repetitive, but I'm not doing story missions. I'm doing stuff that generally tends to be repetitive. So I can't
Yeah,
fault them for that. And they're trying to give a little bit of, and I have to admit that the side missions, like the research towers I was doing yesterday, I would be like, oh, this is going to be another one. There were only like two that were so similar. I was like, y'all could have changed that up a little bit. But out of like 15 research stations, that I had to do, each mission was a little bit different and a little bit unique and wasn't so, you know, they all had a little story to them. There was always some environment, Captain Planet, stuff,
yeah,
ecos, pollution and emissions. Spider-Man seems to have a big deal about emissions. I'm not surprised that Spider-Man hasn't moved to Detroit. Um, he's on some car emission stuff. He's taking pictures and of cars because they're emitting a certain type of pollution and stuff. So he's getting deep into the car emissions and I guess global warming thing. So maybe
damn liberals.
Spider-Man's an eco guy,
He's an ectovist. Huh?
an activist. Okay,
Ectovist.
yeah, ecovist.
I mean, I think this brings us back to the conversation we had about Skyrim a few weeks ago. Repetitiveness is fine as long as what you're doing is fun. As long as you're enjoying what you're doing, there's nothing wrong with a game being repetitive. And like
Yeah,
you said, you haven't even touched the story missions. I'm sure because when you start doing the story missions, it's going to start taking you to places that you haven't been. You're going to start doing stealth missions and all this stuff.
yeah, I
All this.
did. I've done some, and like as I ran out of side stuff, I would do a story mission, but I'd get two or three missions into the story mission. I'd look, I'd have 30 more things to do on the side. So I'm like, well, back to the grinding. So it's like an unlock as you go process, but I'm gonna get to the point where I'm out of stuff to do on the side, and all I can do is progress story, and I'm just gonna hit it hard, and I'll be Super Spider-Man by that point. I'll have everything, and I'll know how to use it. I'll have trained. I've done my work, and I can just breeze through it. It'll probably still be difficult because I'm not playing on the hardest difficulty, but I'm playing
Yeah.
on the middle one. So
Oh,
I
plus
didn't put it on easy.
you got the DLC to look forward to next month.
Well, no, I won't because I borrowed the game, so he's gonna want it back when the DLC comes out.
Okay. I
And then
forgot.
I might I might see if I can borrow it again unless they put something out there that he just keeps playing. If they make it, Spider-Man Battle Royale,
Oh God,
uh,
this
with
stuff.
all the different suits, you just if you keep going, there's a lot of different Spider-Man skins. People would buy the skins and then play Spider Royale. You swing out and keep the circle closed in, and you zap each other with the webs. I can see it.
The sad thing is I can too.
Have you seen the footage of the Iron Man concept stuff? They're thinking about an Iron Man. I guess it was fan made,
An
but
iron,
in the
like,
an Iron
like
Man
a
game.
game? Oh
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. I don't
Oh,
know if it was fan made or if it was from a studio or something, but it looked pretty legit. It was in the vein of Spider Man, a city and open
yeah.
world, and instead of the webs, you just use the flying like Iron Man. That could be pretty awesome.
I'm sure it was fan made, but I mean, we can't forget we still have the Avengers game that Square Enix has been working on for like. I mean, they announced it like in 2016 or something like that. We haven't
Yeah, but
heard
I picture that
anything.
being an action game or an on rails type game, an adventure game. I don't think it's going to be an open world, a free roam game like Spider
It
Man
doesn't
was.
have to be open world though. I
It
mean, if
does
it's
for
a,
me. I can't get into those straight linear story mode. I'm Spider-Man still, it's on the cusp of not being able to keep me interested because I'm literally so spoiled by like the Skyrims and that need for my games to quench that particular itch. Um, I can't. It just frustrates me otherwise. Spider-Man gets away with it because it's so fun to just you can just web swing. You can just go out there and you don't have to play a mission and you don't have
traveling
to
is
do.
fun in Spider-Man,
Yeah,
is what it seems like.
Yeah, and I mean, it's even gotten to where it's not as fun, but I unlock a new little ability every once in a while. I'm like, oh, I can do this better or this better.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, the cameras get clunky or things get a little bit frantic or fast paced when you get into tight quarters and it doesn't work the way you want it to, and you kind of got to just run up the wall instead. And you're like, well, fuck it. But
That's that,
for the most part, it's really, really fun to travel.
that's
Travel
that
the world.
Sonic the Hedgehog syndrome I was talking about.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I've had open world fatigue for a while now. There's just so many open world games. I've gotten to the point where I'll play
Well,
something and I'll have to go. Like I think it started with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I played the fuck out of that game, and then I got to a point where I had to take my ship all the way across the map to this little island, and I died on the way, and I put the fucking game down and never played it again. I I get so fucking tired of traversing these maps, which, like I said, it seems like traversing the city in Spider-Man is fun. If developers can make traversing fun, then I mean that just makes the open world more appealing, I guess.
that's one of the big things about Grand Theft Auto is you steal the car and you go wherever you want and you run people over, just mass murder people if you want, or you can go off road and try to cross the mountain like you're in Skyrim. Everybody tries it. Everybody tries to jump the mountain instead of go on the road.
See, every
So
sandbox is an open world, but not every open world is a sandbox, and I feel like that's where a lot of games are failing these days. A lot of these games just they have these big sprawling worlds, but they're mostly just static, dead, not literally dead, but they're just static landscapes that you can't really do a whole lot in.
I wish Saints Row would hit it big like Grand Theft Auto. I always liked the way Saints Row didn't take itself so seriously. It's
Yeah,
basically Grand Theft Auto except comical, a funny version of Grand Theft Auto. I think
just
they could
over
really
the
take
top.
off with it. Yeah, they could really take off if they opened that up to an online scenario or something like Grand Theft Auto had. I don't see why they haven't. Maybe that's why we haven't seen the next one if they've been trying.
Made Saints Row. It wasn't THQ, was it?
No,
Um,
um,
Volition. Whoa, CD Project work on Saints Row. That's fucking nuts.
it was pretty in depth. It was pretty. I loved them. All the same shows I played, they had great soundtracks, and it was basically like a funny version. I guess it had a lot of potty humor and stuff. So I like I like really stupid, over the top humor. I can't help it.
Did you like the South Park games? Did you ever play those?
I have Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole,
I
and
feel like I've asked you this before. Yeah.
I haven't played Fractured Butthole. Actually, I was on Stick of Truth, and then other games came out. I have them both, but I haven't actually got to even play. My girlfriend played some of Fractured Butthole, but
They're both very well made games.
yes, very, very, very fun, very well made. Um, a while back, South Park had a game on Nintendo 64, and it was actually kind of fun. I can't remember what it was.
The one where you have to
Um,
kill the turkeys.
Maybe it was
It was
almost like a
very.
party game thing, like Mario Party,
It must have been Chef's Love Shack or something.
something like that. It was Chef something,
Yeah, that
and
was that wasn't what I'm thinking of. The one I'm thinking of is the first person shooter type.
that was
It's
probably pretty
nuts.
fun too. But yeah, South Park always put a little bit extra into their games.
Well, yeah, they have a history of releasing like these subpar games, but like lately, yes, they've been putting a lot of work in like these past two games, especially.
Oh yeah, really, really good games. I can't wait to see what they come out with next. What genre they'll rip on. It just started raining really hard out here.
I forget. Are you a Pokemon fan at all?
Um, to a degree, I collected the cards when I was a kid, but and I love the Game Boy games. But
Yeah.
I can play any of those. I can still pick up any Pokemon Game Boy game You just go right back into it and fall back into that trap. I try to avoid it because it's so addictive.
There's a new Pokemon that got leaked and was officially revealed today. His name is Meltan. Um, Apparently, he is an evolution form of Ditto, which is strange to me. 'Cause
It's
that's
not
sort
the
of
thing with like a nut on top of its head, like a mechanical
yeah,
nut.
yeah, the hexagon thing or
Hmm.
whatever. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Meltan.
Well, they've actually been popping up all over Pokemon Go for the past week.
Oh, okay. So you play Pokemon Go?
My old lady plays it, and she told me about it.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
And
I
every
have it
time
on
you
my
caught
phone.
one, it turned into a Ditto.
What?
Yeah,
Huh?
people thought it was a bug or something like that. So I guess it's a new Pokemon.
Yeah. Name is Meltan. I guess he's an old, like an ancient legendary or some bullshit. Um, you could actually catch a Ditto organically in the game, which is kind of cool because you have to go for these really common. I mean, 'cause, you don't have to go for the common ones, but it's better to go for the common ones because they're common. So,
Hmm.
like, if you just start catching Pidgeys and Weedles and shit like that, one might randomly turn out to be a Ditto. So
I can see that. Yeah.
that sort of aspect is cool to me. I like that, and I will be getting Pokemon probably the Eevee version whenever it comes out on Switch. So I will definitely have some thoughts on that when it comes out. And then the next actual core Pokemon game, like the next actual entry in the series, is due to come out next year. So still got a while for that, but I'll definitely be getting that on Switch. I hope it's. I swear, I hope it's in the vein of like Skyrim or
You
Breath
don't
of the
you don't
Wild
think
or
they're
something
gonna
like
do
that.
another one like a straight up Pokemon like for GBA?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like one of the core, the next core entry, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's coming out next year on the Switch. It's actually going to be the first. I, it's so weird calling it
Exclusively
a
on
home.
the Switch, so you're not gonna be able to
Yeah,
play it
yeah.
on Game Boy.
Do you have a 3DS? I'm sure it'll come to 3DS actually. So I mean, I don't think you have to worry about
That's
that.
the
But
issue. I because a 3DS is much more affordable than a Switch. Switch is
yeah,
$300,
I'm sure
but
it'll come out
still,
on that. But this will be the
like
first Pokemon game to come out on a home console. It's actually a home console portable hybrid, but it's still home console. I'm fucking stoked on that.
I'm
Man,
worried.
I'm worried too. I'm worried because I don't want it to be like the 3DS games. I want them to make it like a Breath of the Wild type of game or a Skyrim type of game where everything is grounded and like you have beautiful scenery to look at and you can or like there are Pokemon actually walking around the wild that you can catch and stuff like that. You don't have to like go through the bushes every time.
I think your expectations are a little high.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure I'll be massively disappointed. But that's part of it. That's part of being a gamer.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm definitely ready for that shit. Like I said, it comes out this November, so not too much longer. Man, we got a fucking smorgasbord of shit coming out in the
Too
next two
much.
months.
It's too much. They should have spaced all this shit out. Everybody should say, hey, you guys don't see that every fucking game is coming out in the next 3 months? You think we might want to hold off or get ours out today instead? I'm like, come on, there's a lot going on here at once.
That's what EA and Dice did with Battlefield 5, but
It's too much competition.
they pushed Battlefield 5 up a month, and that's not going to do shit for them. They should have pushed that game until January or February. That would have been the
Yeah,
only
push.
time.
I mean, one that I know had to come out was the 2K games because they're yearly and they're
Yeah.
kind of on a schedule. So WWE 2K19 is going to sell a lot and it's going to take up a lot of people's time. So
Oh yeah.
there's a big portion there. Red Dead Redemption's coming out. That's going to take a lot. That's the next big Rockstar game. People are looking for that. Rockstar is huge. It's
That's probably going
a
to be
house.
the next $60 game I get. Honestly.
Rockstar Games is probably the only household game developer studio that's a household name. that I can think of. In Bethesda, maybe. Um, you know,
It's household. Bethesda's more of like a core gamer household
yeah,
name.
yeah. But Rockstar Games, everybody knows that.
Oh yeah,
Everybody, because
everybody.
everybody knows Grand Theft Auto.
Hmm.
Um, so you've got those two massive games, and then you've got Fallout 76, which I think is a dark horse, but I think it's still gonna get. I know a lot of people just locally who've already pre-ordered it, and I've pre-ordered it. Um, I think it's gonna be a bigger deal than people are counting on. You've got what you were just talking about coming out, and you've got so many games coming out in October and November that it's just you can't divide. Nobody can get all of them. Nobody can play all these games. Even if they're a huge fan of gaming, they're having to make tough choices, and these choices could be potentially permanent because other stuff's going to come out after they're done playing whatever they're done with, and they're not going to be able to go back and check these other titles out potentially, and maybe not for years or ever.
Plus, you still got Fortnite on the table, and I mean, a lot of people aren't going to buy new games because they have fucking Fortnite. They're still at Fortnite death. So.
Season 6, there's a huge, it's still a big deal. I haven't picked it up in a while. I'm done probably with Fortnite. I don't know. I might pick it up for fun every once in a while, just jump back in and
Oh yeah,
do something. But for the most part, I'm pretty much done with it.
I'm a game sharing with my brother. He just pre-ordered Black Ops 4 a few weeks ago, so I will be ass deep in that battle royale. That shit is fucking
There's
fun.
that. There's Black Ops 4. There's Battlefield. There's so many games.
But
Tomb Raider just came out.
yeah, it's
Um,
gotten lukewarm reviews. Some
yeah,
people
it's
love it, some
underwhelming.
people, yeah,
I think it's not no it's no Spider Man.
no, no, for
It's
sure.
not gonna. It's no Spider Man. It's no God of War. I
It's
think a
no
lot of people
Uncharted.
are. Yeah, I think a lot of people are counting on it to be a contender this year, but I think it's underwhelming.
I
There was
thought it was gonna be a contender.
there's a lot of supernatural stuff in it, and I think that threw me off. Like the zombies things or something like that. When I was watching my
Hmm.
friend play, like ghouls or demons or some kind of weird zombie monster things, I was like, I'm used to bears and sharks and lions and shit like that, but I don't know about zombies and demons and supernatural stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little
It was supposed to be a more realistic take. It was supposed to be
exactly.
a real person in a real world, in our real world, doing things that are, somewhat Indiana, the female Indiana Jones. There was some supernatural shit in there, but they didn't just blast it all the time. It involved like supernatural themes, like the Ark and the Covenant and stuff like that. But overwhelmingly, it was people doing stuff to people.
And surprisingly enough, though, Lara Croft herself is one of the main reasons a lot of people don't like that game. She's just not a likable character in that game. Um, the first Tomb Raider that came out when they started, re-releasing these like new fleshed out Tomb Raiders, the first one was fucking awesome. I haven't played the second one. Second one I heard was really good. But this third one, man, it just didn't sit right with a lot of people. Uh, Mostly it has to do with her character, and from what I hear, not enough, not enough fighting. It's mostly just like, in my opinion, man, Uncharted 4 was not that great because all you were doing was climbing. You were walking and climbing, and then you would have a gunfight. And I feel like that's like the same thing. That's like the same sort of loop that Tomb Raider has going for it, and it's just not satisfying people anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got into the Uncharted games. I tend to judge some books by their covers, and I saw it as a, a good version of Lara Croft or Tomb Raider type character.
Two's
Just kind
fantastic.
of well, I mean, I've just never been a fan of those type of games. I guess they're platformers.
That's fair. Yeah, it's sort of
Um,
like a platformer shooter type of game.
yeah, I never got into the first Tomb Raiders. The Tomb Raider, the first ones, the old school ones.
Oh, I never did either.
I
The, the,
tried, I played some games, some versions of it before, and I mean, it just never clicked with me. I never could get into platformers, and that's always been like the closest I'll get to a platformer was like the old school Zeldas and stuff like that.
so you
Those
never
kind
liked
of are
Mario
platformers.
64 and shit like that?
That's one of the few. I guess I don't like it when they're shooters. Um, I didn't like the shooting in Tomb Raider. That was one of the aspects that really threw me
Like the
off on the
original
Tomb
one?
Raider. I don't like the figuring out the puzzles and the climbing up stuff all the time and clunky controls usually. It's
So like the puzzle
they
platforming, basically.
yeah, I can't do that shit. So,
I love that shit.
Skyrim's okay with it, you can tolerate the Skyrim puzzles and stuff like that, but
Oh yeah, because Skyrim's not
when
playing.
everything's a puzzle and that's just not how life works. Life's not a series of fucking puzzles. And I guess in some ways it is. You're getting really philosophical, but it's just too much. Like everything's a trap door and everything's hidden behind something, and you've got always something's underneath the ledge, and you got to figure out how to
And
traverse the environment. The games where you have to figure out how to traverse to get to the next point, how to get across things, and how to do those never really appealed to me. I want to get lost in the world, not have to focus so hard on it that that's all I'm caring about is getting from point A to point B. I want to get from point A to point B carefree without concern.
I feel like Half-Life 2 did a very good job on that. There were some puzzles in that game that didn't feel like puzzles, and puzzles like that are some of the best. That just you just sort of have to figure out how to get to the next spot without like this big icon showing you, oh, there are three symbols. If you can find the three symbols and match them up, then you can go through. Shit like that is just sort of I'm getting jaded on stuff like that. But if it's like just sort of integrated into the level design in a way that is not so in your face, those are my favorite kind of puzzles.
Yeah,
And to your point, like these Uncharted and Tomb Raider puzzles, like the answer is just it's always right there. Like it's not very realistic.
yeah. It's like they always hide answers for these things in plain sight, so anybody with any degree of knowledge could have figured it out.
Yeah, it's a little
And
silly.
yeah, there. It's Spider-Man actually has some puzzles in it. Um, they're surprisingly refreshing, even though they're a bit repetitive. They have their problems, but they conceal it behind science.
Oh,
They
okay.
make one of it's where you have to make the circuits connect in this almost little maze,
Oh,
and
it's
sometimes there's
those kind of
positive,
puzzles.
and sometimes there's negative circuits, and you have to. There's a little bit of math,
Yeah,
but they're not overwhelmingly complicated. The other day I got one I was frustrated on. I was, and some of it's like figure out the chemical composition of something. You're basically doing spectrographs.
yeah,
But it's, combining these layouts of little bars and stuff like this and subtracting and adding lines and figuring out how to match them up.
yeah.
It's kept interesting behind the science behind it for a little while, but now it's kind of getting a little bit stale, especially
You
when they
sort of
get harder.
you see through that illusion that they're trying to
Yeah.
mask it
You're like,
behind.
this isn't science.
Did you ever play Portal?
Yeah, I
You,
played a little bit of it. Yeah.
Portal's fucking awesome, man. Like
Yeah. It was pretty
did
fun.
you like? I know you say you don't like puzzles, but that's a fucking game, man. That
That's
if
fun.
you
When
can
they
have
get,
interesting
I
mechanics.
get frustrated. I don't like getting frustrated. There are games that are made to frustrate people, like Dark Souls and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And I don't get into those because I like something that I don't have to be good at.
yeah, that's fair.
I can be good at games if I choose to be, but
Yeah,
generally, I want to play. I just want to enjoy myself, and when I get into a game, I get into it, but I need it to be initially pleasing from the start for me, kind of.
that's fair.
You can just dive right in and just at any point because my time is so, especially now. Back in the day, I would probably play anything that you put in front of me. But now I have to be a lot choosier. And just because of the way my days are structured, I don't have as much time to sit there and dedicate myself to getting good.
Your
Like
time is so
Fortnite,
goddamn precious.
I can just jump in. Whether I'm good or bad, the only people that are going to make fun of me for being bad are my friends, and they know I'm bad. But I
Yeah.
don't have 40 hours a week to practice and get better. And I'm not naturally a first person shooter. I've never been a fan of first person shooters. I've just never, ever
Huh.
really cared for them, any of them. I kind of started playing the Call of Duties when they hit like second gen, like PS or third gen, PS3.
Yeah.
Um, when they
Campaigns are
started hitting
really
like
good.
PS3. And but I never dedicated enough time to get good at any of them.
Yeah.
And I was always focused on RPGs and sports games, to be honest. I didn't even watch football or baseball or basketball, but put me in front of one of those games, and um, I could just play it because I could create my own person, make him 7 foot tall, and 300 pounds or whatever I wanted. I could just play the game and have fun, and it was easy to learn. A lot of these other games are more complicated. The controls and patterns and combos are just getting. There's some crazy ways to pull stuff off now.
Yeah.
Like specific rotations of the stick. A quarter turn, a half and a quarter, and then back around. They get really convoluted with some of these combos and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
like games that are pretty just simple to just jump in and just have a good time.
That are
Uh,
accessible.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my batteries are dying on my headset, so we probably need to find a place to call it a
Yeah.
day.
It's been about an hour, so yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty pretty good conversations we have here on the Super Meta Bros podcast Royale. We hope to see you again next time. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, ladies and gents.
Peace.